Hi friends, and welcome to the video. I am so into French country spring decor this year. Let me know what your style is and what you're decorating with around your home. All of the projects I'm going to make today is going to be featured around this thrifted tray that I got at Goodwill for $6.99. I'm going to show y'all some things that we can make very affordable that we can display on this tray and make a beautiful vignette for springtime. I'm going to upcycle and make over the tray toward the end of the video. So y'all will see how I transform it. But until then, we are going to work on some projects that we can use to really detail this tray and things that we can set up on the tray to make a beautiful spring vignette. I'm going to start with these couple of little wood mirrors that I found at, the thrift store. I think I paid 99 cents for each of these. I see these a lot of times at thrift stores, and let me know what you think their purpose was. I have one that's about a medium size and one that's a smaller size. So I'm not real sure what you really do with these. But I'm going to show y'all a really pretty spring project that we can do to really upscale these little frames and make them into some really pretty spring decor. The first thing I did was I just sprayed them down with a really good coat of Easy Off oven cleaner. I'm doing this in my kitchen sink. You let it sit for a few minutes and go around with a good little scrub brush or toothbrush and just scrub off all of that lacquer and what we're trying to do is get rid of that orange tint on that wood. Set them out in the sun on a really hot sunny day and let them dry really well. And look how beautiful now these look. We took them back down to the really natural wood and took all that lacquer off. And I love the natural wood look. And I love the way these frames turned out. I'm going to take them back inside and show you some ideas now of how we can turn these in to some pretty spring decor. They're mirrors right now, but we can really work on these, and these will be beautiful displayed on our tray when we get it made over. The first thing I want to do is I want to show y'all this textured paper. A lot of times you can pick this up at the craft stores. They usually have like ripped sides, or in this case, these pieces right here have one side that's more of a ripped look. I'm still taking some little pieces of some floral transfers that I have, but you could also use stamps if you prefer that. I just have these beautiful florals left over, and I'm trying to use them up. So I'm going to go through my supplies and see which of the florals will work the best on these size mirrors. And you can use either side of your mirror. You can use the back or you can use the mirror side. I felt like the mirror side would work the best because it doesn't show through my paper as much, but just depending on the thickness of your paper, you can go with either side. Just using a good quality glue stick, I'm just going to attach a couple of these sheets of paper to each one of the backs of my mirrors, and then once I get that adhered really well, and I used a brayer and rolled over it really good, then I'm going to place it back in the frame, and then I'm just going to go through my floral transfers, and I'm just going to cut them down to fit into these frames the best. Now I just kind of worked with mine and I cut away what part of the transfer wouldn't fit, and once I've got them fit in the area that I want them, I'm just going to use just a little bit of painter's tape just to secure it down so it doesn't move. Using your transfer tool, just remove the backing on the sheet on the back of the transfer and just transfer your floral design onto your textured paper. These transfers right here stick really well. So once I got that done, just go over it with that sheet just to make sure your transfer adheres really well to your paper, and then put it back in your frame. These right here were so easy to do, and like I told you, a lot of times in the thrift store, I see these little wooden mirrors. So just giving you some ideas of how you can take these home and really give them a new makeover and make some beautiful spring decor out of them. I'm going to do the same thing for the smaller frame, and then at the end of the video I will style everything for you and let you see how beautiful all these projects turn out. Now the next couple of projects is going to be inspired by this piece that I picked up at a vintage flea market. I went to vintage market days in a local town nearby. They have a lot of vendors that come in from, all around. So I picked this up for $10. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And for $10, that is a steal. So I thought I got a really good deal on it. But I mainly bought it because I love the inspiration for it. But I'm going to show you if you can't find this, and especially for the $10 price tag, I'm going to show you how you can easily make something very similar. I found some sheets of textured paper at Hobby Lobby, and I bought them when they were half off, so these sheets were $1 each. To get them down to the size of the inspiration piece, I ripped mine, and I used a ruler to rip the paper because you want to give the edges more of a ripped look. Using the ruler, you kind of controlled the rip, so it didn't rip it a lot, but it just gave it more of a really clean, smooth edge. Now I'm going back through some floral transfers that I have, so I'm just going through and looking at the ones that will fit on the sheets of my textured paper the best. I'll pick out a couple because I have a couple of these sheets, and I'm going to show you a couple ways of how you can make some beautiful floral designs. Now, I thought the bird was really beautiful, but I did not have any bird transfers on hand. But if you do have bird transfers, the bird transfers will work beautifully also. Now, when you get your piece done, here is an option for a hanger. And this I put down so I could measure out where I want my floral versus if I put the hanger at the top. I don't use a hanger at the top of mine, but I will show you in the video how I style mine. But if you do want to put a hanger on the top of it, you can find these little wood pieces with the twine hanger at Dollar Tree. So I want this little rosebud right here, this little stem, I want it on the other side. So I'm just going to cut it off, and we're going to put it on the other side. And that is the fun of working with transfers. They are very versatile to use. They're very easy. You can cut them up, and you can design, the way that you want, your piece to be. Once I got everything set in place, I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape, but be careful with the painter's tape because it can rip your paper. So just barely, just use it, barely put it down and use it just to get your transfer onto your paper. And that way, that painter's tape will keep your transfer from shifting. So once I got that applied, I'm going to go over it with that clear sheet just to make sure it adheres really well. But look how beautiful this looks on that textured paper. I'm going to cut the little rosebud stem down. I'm going to adhere it to this side of the project piece. And then I'm going to go in and add some of that beautiful writing that it comes with the transfers. So I'm going to show you another one in just a minute and give you a little bit more, inspiration of how you can create these. So if you see this textured paper, these sheets at Hobby Lobby, pick some of these up and make some of these because these make beautiful pieces of, wall decor, or if you have a spring vignette or summer vignette in your home, this right here just makes beautiful pieces that you can set out in your spring and your summer vignettes. Now I'm going to show you another one. Now you can leave this sheet of textured paper the size that it is. I'm showing you another option for a hanger. You can get these wooden slats a lot of times at the craft store, very inexpensive. You can cut these down to size and also use these for a top and hanger for your design, or you can put this at the top and you can also put one of these boards at the bottom so you can have a top and a bottom border. So just get creative with your wood pieces and how you want to hang these, because like I say, and I'm going to give you a couple more options in just a minute when we get done with this project. But again, remember, use your ruler and just very carefully just go around and rip all the edges of this paper and rip it down to the size that you want it. You can make this any size that you want. And you can use any type of themed transfers you want. If you don't want to do florals, like I say, if you've got some bird transfers, I think bird transfers would be beautiful. I think, hydrangeas would be gorgeous on this. Just use whatever you have or whatever you have, whatever theme is that you're going with in your home. Now, if you want to leave the piece with no writing on it, you definitely can. I'm just giving you some options of where you can put the writing. You can put some at the top, the bottom. You can put some of this through the center. You can just put it in a space that maybe you need a little bit more detail. Maybe the space is empty. The script writing really comes in handy for those, just those little extra touches. On this piece, I'm going to put some writing at the top, and I'm also going to apply some to the bottom. And look how beautiful this piece turned out. Something so affordable out of a $1 sheet of textured paper from Hobby Lobby and some supplies that I already had on hand. Now, in my supplies, I still had some of these smaller pieces. These are rough on just one edge. Now, I'm not sure where I got these. I think I got these at a yard sale a few years ago in just a package of scrapbook, materials. But I'm still going back through these transfer florals, and I have some that are small and would fit perfect on this textured paper. These pieces are probably maybe 6 by 6 in length and width. So I'm going to take some of these, place them on these little sheets, and I'm going to show you how pretty these are to decorate with around your home. Something so affordable and so easy to make, but they make such a beautiful detail to your spring and your summer vignettes. Now, as far as little hangers for these little textured paper designs, you can do all kinds of things to make hangers for them. You could attach just some ribbon at the top. You can use some little clothespins to attach them to things. And I'm going to show you at the end of the video how I style mine. But if you take these little wood blanks you can get at Dollar Tree, these are a good size. You can also cut them down, if you need to. But some other options are some of these clip together hangers. A lot of times you can find these, and some of these are vintage. These are on Etsy. These little parchment paper pieces that we made would be cute, and these little photo holders. And you can find a lot of times these little photo holders in different shapes and sizes at the thrift store. But just here's some other designs that I made just using some of the bits and pieces of floral transfers that I had on hand. And like I told y'all, use whatever transfers you have. If you have birds or, bees or just whatever your style is for spring and summer, just use those transfers on these little pieces of textured paper, and they turn out absolutely beautiful. And again, you can add some words to these if you want to. Pretty much the sky's the limit. You could add some stamps if you have stamps on hand. Just get creative and have fun with this little project. Now, out of the pieces that I tore off of the larger sheets of the textured paper with the ruler, I just got my ruler again and tore those scrap pieces down and made some little tags. Now, you can make these as big or as small as you want to, but I made mine, this size right here. And then again, I just took some bits and pieces of those leftover transfers because, we don't want to waste anything. Add those little floral bits to these little textured paper tags. Add some of your wording. Now, you could attach these to wreaths. You can put these on floral bouquets. You can put these on baskets. Just, the sky's the limit with these little details. And that's what I've always told y'all in my videos. It's the little details that matter. And these right here not only make great details and just add such beauty to your projects, but they're also so easy and they're fun to make. Now, I'm going to take a piece of scrap wood that I've had in my supplies, and I just made a clay mold bunny. Now, this is a bunny mold that Iron Orchid Design had out a few years ago, and I have used him so much. But I just took some air dry clay and molded out my bunny, and I glued him down to this little scrap piece of wood. Just showing y'all more ideas of little easy pieces that you can make to style on a spring or summer tray. So I just went around with my candle. I went around and gave the edges a good lather of that wax candle. And that way, when you go back to distress it, it will scrape the paint off in those areas and give it a really chippy, distressed look. I painted over it with a couple layers of some white chalk paint. And then also, I went around with my sanding block, my little finger sander, and I just went around and just distressed it, really well. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe, just go around and wipe off all of that excess dust from that sanding paper. And then once you get it done, I've got these labels, and I featured these in a previous video. I think I purchased these. No, I think I downloaded these from the Graphics Fairy, and these are free printables. So I love the black and the white, and I already have these printed out. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush. I dipped it in water. I went around the paper, got it moist and wet, and then I'm just going to go around with my fingers, and I'm just going to rip around a little area of this wording, and I'm going to try to capture some of the wording, and I'm going to put that down at the bottom of my rabbit. We're kind of making a little shabby chic scrap wood bunny piece that we can style on a tray. So I'm just going around, I rip it down to where it will fit the best up under the bunny, because I don't want it too big. Once I get it ripped down to the correct size, then I'm just going to take a good quality glue stick, and I'm going to apply it down there to the bottom. You could also use Mod Podge if you want to, but since this is just printer paper, the little glue stick will do just fine. I roll over it really well with the brayer just to make sure it's pressed down really good, and then I go over it again with the finger sander, just stress it and give it more of a worn look. I'm also going to rip a little piece of these little labels, and I'm going to put one at the top. I'm just going to do the same technique, and then this little bunny will be done. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely love bunnies, and I have a lot of bunnies in my yard through the springtime and the summer. So I'm going to do some more bunny projects, because I think bunnies are so spring, and I love bunnies pretty much all year long. But I'm going to take this little project piece. This was a little wood frame piece that I picked up at the thrift store for 99 cents. I just went over and painted the white, painted over that wording that's inside the frame with some white chalk paint so it wouldn't show through. I've got this little graphic right here, I think come from the Graphics Fairy, that I had printed out, and I'm just going to start cutting it down to size. Now I just go in and I just start out just making small cuts at first, and then I just keep going in the frame. I'll score it with my fingers, and then I'll go across with my ruler, make sure my line is straight. But you could also use your straight cutter. My straight cutter sometimes will cut good, then sometimes it will rip my paper. So sometimes if it's small like this, I just soon use my scissors. So I'm just going to continue to cut it down, try to cut it as straight as I can, and get it to fit down in this frame. Then using my glue stick, I secured it inside the frame. Now I'm going to show y'all another really pretty project, and this is very easy and affordable to make. I purchased these downloads. These are rabbit flashcards, and I got them from a Etsy shop called Old Maple Home. She also has a YouTube channel that has a lot of great ideas and inspiration. So I think it's called Elizabeth's Old Maple Home. So y'all make sure to go over and follow her on YouTube also. So I just went to her Etsy shop, purchased these little rabbit flashcards, and I am just using my glue stick again, and I just went over the back of the tags, and then I just secured them onto a piece of, this is just the back of an OD transfer book. This is just the back of it. It's just equivalent to a piece of poster board, but it was in my trash. So instead of throwing it away, I'm going to use this for the backer board for these flashcards. Using my glue stick, I just applied each one, cut around the excess paper, and now we got some vintage beautiful flashcards, and I'm going to show you how beautiful these style on our tray. Now let's make over our tray. This tray was $6.99 at Goodwill. This was a Southern Living at Home piece. I'm sure they sold this at Walmart. It does have some chipping on it. It's not real wood, so we are going to paint it. So I'm just going to use a few layers of chalk paint, and it did take me a few layers. I worked on the center first, got that large area painted, and then to do like these little details on the side, I used different smaller paint brushes, and I also dipped my paintbrush in water. I watered down my paint just so it would get down in those crevices really good. Let that dry, and then go back and do another layer. And I just continued to do this until I got the whole tray covered, and then I'll take it inside and I'm going to wet distress it. I want to pull back some of that ornate detail. You could also put dark wax on this and let that lay down into that ornate detail and rub that off. That would probably work too. But I just went around, distressed mine, and then just to give it a final sealer, I'm going to go over it with some Debbie's DIY clear wax. This is what it looks like in the jar or the can. And then I'm just going to take one of these big wax brushes, just put it on your wax brush, and just put it on liberally. Go over your whole piece, work it down into those little ornate details really well, and then just always wipe over it with a soft cloth, and then you've got a beautiful piece, and it's sealed, and it really makes the piece have a really sheen, beautiful look. Okay, y'all, before I close out the video, I just want to say how much I appreciate y'all, and I'm so glad y'all came over to the video today. If you know of anyone that would enjoy this type of content and would enjoy my channel, please share my video and my channel with them. We always love to grow and be successful in what we do, and the more people that we have come over to the channel, hopefully they'll get creative and, get some ideas and get inspired to make some DIY projects of their own also. Last week's video, I showed y'all a beautiful bouquet that I received from Rose Forever of New York. I want to remind y'all that I've got a discount code down in my description box. Go out and shop their website because y'all, Mother's Day is coming up. It's right around the corner. What mother would not love to get a beautiful bouquet of roses that smell like real roses, because they are real roses. They are preserved with natural oils and they will last up to 1 year. So make sure to go out and check them out. Click on my link that I'm going to provide for you and use that discount code and get a discount on your purchase. As always, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I'll plan to see y'all next week in a brand new video. Bye, y'all.